A friend of mine flies business class on Emirates about twice a month. Dubai to London, London to Singapore, back again. Last year I asked him what the food is like up there. He said something I didn't expect. He said he doesn't eat. Not because it is bad, because, and this is a direct quote, once you understand what is happening to that food between the kitchen and your tray, you stop wanting it. I thought he was being dramatic. He is not a health nut, he is not paranoid, he is an engineer. So I asked him to explain. And what he told me sent me down a path I did not plan on going down. Here is the thing most people don't realize. The meal you are eating at 35,000 feet was cooked between 12 and 72 hours before you took off. It was chilled to near freezing, loaded onto a truck, driven to the airport, stored in a holding facility, loaded onto the aircraft, and then reheated in a convection oven the size of a hotel mini-fridge. That is not a kitchen. That is a supply chain. And every step of that chain is optimized for one thing, not taste, safety. The food has to survive the journey without killing anyone. Flavor is not part of the engineering brief. There are roughly a dozen companies in the world that make most of the airline food you have ever eaten. Gate Gourmet, Do & Co., LSG, Sky Chefs, a few others. These are industrial kitchens the size of warehouses. Some of them produce over 100,000 meals a day. Every meal is cooked, portioned, blast chilled to about 3 degrees, packed into foil containers, stacked onto carts, and loaded into refrigerated trucks. By the time it reaches the aircraft galley, that food has been handled by 5 to 8 different people and has traveled through at least 3 temperature zones. The reheating on board takes about 20 to 25 minutes in a convection oven that runs at around 180 degrees. At that point, whatever texture the food had is gone. Protein fibers contract, vegetables lose their structure, sauces congeal, and then remelt into something that looks right but tastes flat. That is not negligence. That is physics. But that is only half the problem. The other half is you. At cruise altitude, cabin pressure drops to the equivalent of sitting on a mountain about 2,000 meters high. Your mucous membranes dry out. Your sense of smell falls off a cliff. And without smell, taste doesn't work. Not the way you think it does. A study from the Fraunhofer Institute in Germany put people inside a simulated aircraft cabin and tested their perception of sweet and salty. The result was a drop of roughly 30%. The food didn't change. Your body did. And it goes further than taste. Cabin humidity at cruise sits at around 10 to 15%. For context, the Sahara Desert averages about 25%. Your body is trying to digest food in conditions drier than a desert, at reduced pressure, with lowered oxygen saturation. Blood flow to the digestive tract decreases. Gastric motility slows down. Food sits in your stomach longer than it would on the ground. That is why so many people feel bloated, heavy, and sluggish after eating on a flight. It is not the food quality. It is the environment your body is processing it in. Airlines know this. They have known it for decades, which is why they compensate. More salt, more sugar, more umami. Glutamate, soy-based sauces, tomato concentrate. Not because they are trying to poison you, but because without those boosters, the chicken would taste like warm cardboard. A catering manager from LSG Sky Chefs, one of the biggest airline food suppliers in the world, once described the process as cooking for patients in a hospital who have lost most of their sense of taste. That is the engineering problem, and that is how they solve it. Now, here is where most people get confused. They think business class fixes this. It doesn't. The supply chain is the same. The food is still cooked hours before the flight. It is still chilled, stored, transported, and reheated. The difference is presentation. Nicer plates, real silverware, a menu with a chef's name on it. Sometimes the chef actually designed the recipe, but then it went through the same blast chill, truck, warehouse, oven pipeline as everything else. The fundamental constraint has not changed. The cabin pressure is the same in row 3 as it is in row 31. Your taste buds don't care how much your ticket cost. I remember sitting next to a guy on a transatlantic flight who had paid something like $4,000 for his seat. He opened the menu, read through it like it was a restaurant wine list, chose the seared duck breast with truffle juice, and when it arrived, he took one bite and put it down. He looked at it and said, "This does not taste like duck," and he was right. It didn't, because by the time that duck reached his plate, it had been cooked, frozen, stored, reheated, and served at an altitude where his tongue could barely register the difference between duck and chicken. $4,000 for a sensory experience his body physically could not appreciate. That is not a scam. That is a system limitation disguised as luxury. What does change is portion size and ingredient quality. Business class meals use better cuts of meat, fresher ingredients before cooking, and more complex sauces. But the reheating still kills texture. The altitude still kills flavor perception. A friend who works cabin crew on a long-haul carrier told me something that stuck. She said the most common complaint from business class passengers is not that the food is bad. It is that it doesn't taste the way the menu described it. And that gap between what the menu promises and what your body can actually taste at altitude, that is the real problem. It is a sensory mismatch that no amount of money can fix. So what do experienced travelers actually do? This part is simpler than you would expect. Some eat a full meal before boarding. Some bring their own food: nuts, dried fruit, protein bars, things that don't depend on heat or complex flavors. Some just fast through the flight entirely and eat after landing. A pilot I spoke to said he has not eaten airline food in over a decade. Not because of any conspiracy. Because he understood the system well enough to know that the calories you gain don't justify what your body goes through to process food at altitude. Digestion slows down. Bloating increases. Energy drops. For a short flight, the math just doesn't work. Here is what this comes down to. Airline food is not poison. It is not a secret plot. It is a compromise. A logistical compromise between food safety regulations, supply chain limitations, and the reality of human physiology at 35,000 feet. The system is not designed to feed you well. It is designed to feed 300 people without making anyone sick. Once you understand that compromise, you stop being disappointed and start making better decisions. You eat before, you bring your own, or you just skip it and feel better when you land. That is the general system. But international flights, especially routes through Asia, play by completely different catering rules. Different countries, different food safety standards, different supply chains. And that changes everything about what ends up on your tray. I will break that down next.